And now to our top story of the hour. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas has warned that a new sanctions package against Russia will likely face delays as Hungary continues to block it. Kallas, speaking before the EU Foreign Affairs meeting, said that despite strong efforts to convince Hungary, there was little expectation of change in its position. The sanctions discussions are set against the backdrop of the 4th anniversary of the Ukraine war, with Kallas stating that the European Union will not back down in its support for Ukraine. In Poland, Foreign Minister Radoslaw Sikorski expressed shock over Hungary's lack of solidarity with Ukraine, pointing to the historical connections between the countries. He reminded that Hungary, having been invaded by the Soviet army, should understand the struggles of a country defending its territory against Russia. Let's listen in.
You know, the thing that shocks me fundamentally is that while Ukraine is defending itself against the might of the Russian army, Hungarians used to understand what it's like. You know, Budapest was invaded, in fact twice in the 20th century, but once by the Red Army. I would have expected a much greater feeling of solidarity from Hungary for Ukraine.
Meanwhile, Germany's Foreign Minister Johann Wadephul voiced his surprise at Hungary's refusal to back sanctions. He warned that Hungary must not betray its own struggle for freedom and European sovereignty, pointing out that Hungary has a long history of fighting for freedom. Wadephul expressed hope that diplomatic engagement with Hungary would result in a change in its position, stressing the importance of continuing to support Ukraine against Russia. Let's listen in.
Ich bin über die ungarische Position erstaunt. Wir werden mit unseren ungarischen Kollegen darüber diskutieren. Ich glaube nicht, dass es richtig ist, wenn Ungarn seinen eigenen Kampf für die Freiheit, für die europäische Souveränität verrät. Und deswegen werden wir hier auch mit unseren Argumenten noch einmal in Budapest, aber auch natürlich hier in Brüssel an die Ungarn herantreten, dass man die Position überdenkt. Gerade wir Deutsche haben Ungarn viel zu verdanken. Wir wissen das und wir wissen auch, dass Ungarn am Ende des Tages sich immer für die Freiheit entschieden hat. Und das sollte auch jetzt die richtige Orientierung geben. Und ich glaube, zu viele Gesprächsangebote an Russland können dort nur den Eindruck erwecken, dass man mit noch mehr Sturheit immer mehr Zugeständnisse erreicht, und das wäre das falsche Signal.
And now joining us live in the studio is Glenn Grant, a geopolitical commentator who is joining us live from Kyiv. Glenn, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Our first question to you is that Russia is one of Hungary is one of Russia's strongest allies in the EU, and Orban has also been in power for the last 15 years, but is facing an election this year. So do you believe that the blocking of this aid package is a move by Orban to drum up anti-Ukraine sentiment before his election, or is actually a strategic move to aid his allies in Russia?
Oh, I think it's a bit of both, and obviously he's got to do everything he can to actually to get support for his re-election, because he's not actually that popular, but he's still got quite clear and strong ties to Putin, and so he wants to do everything he can to actually to do Ukraine down and support Putin as much as he possibly can. But you know, I'm sorry, I have to go back into the European Union for this, because they've known that this man has been like this for the last couple of years, and nobody has done anything about it. And I think they're hoping that he will go out on the elections. But if he doesn't, then they've got to do something, because we cannot have Hungary governing what the rest of the European Union wants to do and needs to do for its own security.
So the EU leadership, you're saying, is used to these movements from Hungary and Orban. Do you believe that there will be further concessions granted to Hungary to pass this aid package?
Well, they might, or they might just hang on until the elections to see what happens. But you know, I'm sorry, I blame von der Leyen, because she's known for a long time what Hungary was like, and has done nothing. And it actually raises my suspicions about her and her motivations for the whole thing, because she's not been the person that she should be to actually to support Ukraine in this whole effort.
What do you believe could happen if Kyiv can't fill this budget gap that they're facing? Do you believe that Ukraine will look for further funding from other sources besides the EU?
No, I think that well, I say no. I mean, that 90 billion has got to come from countries. So I think that Zelensky will then have to go back on the road and start negotiating one-on-one subsidies outside of the European Union. And he's done that before, so I'm pretty sure he can do it again. But it may not add up to the 90 billion at the end that he needs.
Okay, don't go anywhere now and stay for us with our next story as we move to the war in Ukraine again. As it reaches its 4th year, the residents of Kyiv reflect on the toll that it has taken and are acknowledging the ongoing struggles like blackouts, the challenge of securing stronger support from European nations. Despite the fatigue, there is a collective determination to endure, with many prioritising time with loved ones and believing the war may continue until Russia's economy is exhausted. At the same time, a Russian drone attack in Ukraine's southern Odessa region has killed 2 people and injured 3 more after it struck a truck stop, causing a fire. Rescuers continue efforts to contain the damage as tensions remain high. Let's listen to what the residents had to say.
Я бачу, що фронт тримається 4 роки. В принципі, як би там що не говорили про владу, не така, але вони, я бачу, можливо, там є і корупція, і все, але люди роблять, намагаються зробити щось щодо завершення цієї війни. Якось так, не хочеться зовсім падати. Якщо вистояли 4 роки, то хочеться вірити, що вистоять і далі, бо виходу, як
The United Nations Human Rights Chief warns that the world is experiencing